Hi everybody, this is part 2 of your chapter 8 review of quadrilaterals. I believe on the Edulastic I called it the quadrilateral test, so that's what chapter 8 is mostly. I mean, we have a couple questions on polygons, which quadrilaterals are polygons, so the rest of it is all quadrilaterals, which is a four-sided shape, in case you were wondering what a quadrilateral was. So let's get on with this second half. Hopefully it won't be too long. If it's too long, I'll cut it short and do a third video, but this should be able to finish it. So let me switch over to just the document camera. Okay, so here we have number 8. It talks about a rectangle. It says ABCD is a rectangle with diagonals AC and BD. So you can tell what should be the diagonal. And if you label it correctly, those will be the diagonals. If you label it wrong, those will not be the diagonals and you'll have to relabel it. So since this problem does not have a picture, it's best to draw a picture. So ABCD is a rectangle. The picture that we're going to be drawing is a rectangle. Now, I can't draw rectangles perfectly, so do the best that I can. There's a rectangle. Rectangles, well, let's label it A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Remember that rectangles have right angles. A lot of people have been missing that one on the assignments, which confuses me because I thought everyone knew that rectangles had 90-degree angles. So notice AC is a diagonal, BD is a diagonal. It says AC equals this, 2x minus 20, which is kind of hard to label because AC is the whole diagonal, and if I write on it, then it messes up with BD, which is 16. So we know that AC and BD are diagonals. Let's look at our rectangle rules about diagonals. Okay, so let me get that. So this is from my rectangle lesson. So the rectangle rules, diagonals are equal. So since AC is a diagonal and BD is a diagonal, the diagonals are equal. So I would write 2x minus 20 equals 16. Okay. All right. Then we need to solve for x because it says find the value of x. That's what we're going to do, find the value of x. So do some work. Two-step equation. Use a calculator if you need to. Opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So we got x equals 18. There's number 8. So number 9. It says, verify whether or not the parallelogram ABCD with those coordinates is a rectangle. Show all your steps. You will not actually be doing that on the test. So it does help to know how to do it. So on the test, it asks what would you do? What would you follow? So to determine if a quadrilateral is a rectangle, first you check if it's a parallelogram. Now, it tells you it's a parallelogram. We don't have to do that part on this problem. Then it says, so first check if it's a parallelogram. We have that. Then it says you either check if consecutive sides are perpendicular or check if diagonals are equal. Now, checking if diagonals are equal is what you had to do on your assignment. To figure out if something has equal length, if they're the same length, you have to use the distance formula. The distance formula is to find segment length. So if you need to check if the diagonals are equal, then you would use the distance formula on each diagonal and then see if the distance is the same. So again, you won't have to actually do the distance formula on the test, But you will have to know that you either check if consecutive sides are perpendicular using the slope, or check if the diagonals are congruent. So you just have to be able to say, to identify those two statements. So on this video, that's what I'm going to do. Since we're not going to actually have to solve it and find the distance, we are going to just find the two methods. So there's two methods. Okay, the first method, and I'm just getting this from the notes that I had made from the video for rectangles. Check if consecutive sides are perpendicular. Consecutive means next to each other. Okay, the second method from my notes from the rectangle video is check if the diagonals are congruent. I was going to put a congruent symbol, but I thought I'd just spell it out anyway. Okay, it says draw a rhombus. We'll label it A, B, C, D. So that's what we're going to do. Rhombus is kind of hard to draw, so I basically just draw a parallelogram. And label it A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Okay. It says diagonals are AC and BD. So that means we're probably going to need the diagonals. AC and BD. It says given measure of angle BDC is 52 degrees. Right there. We need to find measure of angle BAC. BAC is right in there. And we need to find measure of angle DBA, which is right there. Okay. So, since this is talking about angles on a rhombus, let's look at our rhombus rules. Okay. Our rhombus rules from the rhombus video. Diagonals are perpendicular. All sides are congruent. Diagonals bisect opposite angles. Okay, so diagonals are perpendicular, so we're going to have right angles in the middle. It shows it right here, right angles in the middle. And then diagonals bisect opposite angles, so those two are equal and those two are equal. And same on this side. So let's look at this. So this diagonal, BD, bisects this angle right here. So if that's Y, that's Y. Let me use a different color. I'll use green. Okay, that's Y. But if you noticed, the two over here, opposite angles are equal. So the opposite angles are equal. So that means these two angles are going to be equal to these two angles. This is Y as well. That means, if you notice, since this is 52, all of these are 52. Y equals 52. Okay? Because they're all 52. Now, for X, a little bit more difficult, because X is over here, And then this is x, and this is x, and this is x, and we don't know what any of them are. So we do know that the diagonals are perpendicular, so this is a right angle right here. Right angle. And we have this triangle here. This is A, this is B, this is Y, this is X. We have a right angle right here. Basically, it's that triangle. I wanted to look at just the triangle. Okay. We know that Y is 52, so I'm going to put 52 right there. Okay. So it's no longer Y, it's now 52. I could just erase. What's the point in having these wonderful friction pens if I can't erase? So 52. There we go. So I erased Y and put a 52 there. Okay, so now we have 52, the right angle, and X. And if you remember on a triangle, so even though it's a piece of a rhombus, it's still a triangle, and the rules for triangle never change. The three angles add up to 180. So we take 52 plus 90, and then we subtract from 180. And I'm just going to use my calculator. So I'm not that great with subtraction. So we get 38. Alright, so that means X equals 38 degrees. There we go. Y is 52 degrees. X is 38 degrees. And there we go. So not too bad. Just use the stuff that you know. You have your rules. Keep your rules handy when you're taking the test. If you didn't write down the rules when you watch the videos, then watch the videos and write down the rules so you have them. Or have the videos ready to go when you're on the test. Just remember, your test is timed, so you can't spend all your time watching videos. Okay, the diagonals of a square ABCD intersect at E, and it tells us AE and BD, find ACE. Okay, so we have a square, so we're going to draw a square. See, it says square. We know what to draw. May not be a perfect square that we draw, but we know what a square is. Some people are struggling with the corners of the square on a square assignment. And remember, squares have right angles, so the corners are 90 degrees. Okay, so label it A, B, C, D. So A, B, C, D. Remember, you just pick a corner and go around. Don't go across. We're going to have diagonals because they said the diagonals intersect at E. So that's point E. It says AE is x plus 2. And then it says BD. Oh, BD is the whole thing. Is 2 times 3x minus 9. I'm just going to say, okay, 6x minus 9, not 9, 6x minus 18. Because it's 2 times that. So let's just do that. All right, 6x minus 18. So there we go. So that's BD. Okay. Well, let's see what we know about squares. Okay, our rules from squares from my square video. All the parallelogram rules apply, so you gotta remember that. All the rectangle rules apply, and all the rhombus rules apply. So I just need to have those handy. Square is kind of like all three put together. So let's see. We're talking about diagonals of a square. So let's look at diagonals. I'll go to the first thing. Diagonals. Where is it? Diagonals bisect each other. So that means each diagonal is in 2 equal parts. So if this is x plus 2, then this is x plus 2. So you gotta remember that. Let's see. What else talks about diagonals? Well, this one, rhombus, only talks about diagonals being perpendicular and bisecting angles, so that's not going to really help us here. We need to know more about diagonals, because we have lengths of diagonals. So let's look at our rectangle rules. Oh, here we go. Diagonals are congruent. Okay. So we know the diagonals bisect each other, like I just said, since AE is x plus 2. Then this is x plus 2. Okay, all of BD is 6x minus 18. And we have this thing from rectangles that says the diagonals are congruent. So that means they're equal. So all of AC, not just AE, but all of that diagonal. So there's x plus 2 and x plus 2. So there's 2 x's plus 4. So we get 2x plus 4. So that's AC equals BD. AC is the whole thing. BD, we already know BD is 6x minus 18. So the diagonals are equal. So you have to figure out what AC is and remember that those are equal so that you can add them up so you can get all of AC. The biggest mistake that people make is they just say x plus 2 equals all of BD, but AE is not the whole diagonal. AE is only half the diagonal. You need the whole diagonal to equal all of BD. So that's a common mistake. Try not to make that on the test. Okay, so now we need all our x's on the same side. We need all our whole numbers on the same side. And then we need x to be alone. Okay, so, that's not done. We found x. That's an important thing. You have to make sure you follow directions and find what's supposed to be found. We have to find AC. AC, x plus 2 and x plus 2. AC, 2x plus 4. I found it right here. So we just have to plug it in. 2x plus 4. X is 11 over 2. Or you can use the decimal and use a calculator. 2, I like to reduce. So AC equals 11 plus 4, which is 15. Oh, sorry. Okay, number 12. Okay, here we go. We have an isosceles trapezoid. So we have to break out our isosceles trapezoid rules. MNOP, it says, okay, I got all the words there. Diagonals NP and MO. So then it talks about these angles. It says draw this figure. So it's helpful to draw the figure. It's an isosceles trapezoid. Now remember that a trapezoid has two legs, two parallel lines. We have those parallel lines. That's a trapezoid. Only those are parallel. The other two are definitely not parallel. Okay. What makes it isosceles? If you remember, isosceles triangle is two equal sides. So same goes for a trapezoid. It's two equal sides. And since the parallel lines cannot be equal, then it has to be the other two sides that are not parallel. So an isosceles trapezoid has these two sides that are parallel. MNOP. So MNOP. Remember, it goes around either way, but pick a corner and letter it going around. The diagonals are NP, so let's just draw that in. And MO. There we go. It says measure of angle NMO is 52. NMO is 52. OMP, angle OMP is 48. OMP is 48 degrees. And then it says draw this figure and find the measure of angle MNP. MNP, which is X right there. Okay, so what you have to remember is that well, let me get my trapezoid notes out. Okay, so we have an isosceles trapezoid there. Trapezoid rules apply. Isosceles trapezoid rules apply. Okay, this is not a parallelogram. We can't use any of those rules. We can't use rectangle rules. We can't use rhombus rules. We can't use square rules because those do not apply to this. So we have to use these rules. And we're talking about angles. It says base angles on the same leg are supplementary. So that might help a little bit. We'll see. We also know, since it's isosceles, each pair of base angles are congruent. Legs are congruent, diagonals are congruent, but each pair of base angles are congruent. So that means this angle here is equal to this angle here, because this is a base, and angles on the same base are congruent. So if this is 52 and 48, then this is 52 and 48. Okay? Because base angles are equal. Okay? And that's how we're going to find X. So if you look at X, I'm just outlining X. X is this angle right here. That angle there. But if you just throw in another line, now we have a triangle. Okay? So we have a triangle where we know this angle is 48. We know this angle is 48 and 52 together. And we need the third angle, X. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the rules for a triangle. So even though we have an isosceles trapezoid, we use the isosceles trapezoid information to figure out that these two angles are 52 and 48. Just the same way it's marked here, it would be marked here the same. Okay, and then X helps us find our triangle. And we know the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So we have 52 plus 48 plus 48 plus X equals 180. Okay? Those angles together, 48 and X, together they make 180. So let me use my calculator. We have 52 plus 48 plus 48. So that is 148. Plus X equals 180. So then we subtract. So that's 180 minus 148. So we get X equals 32. Let's see, is that what we need to find? Oh, X. It says find measure of angle MNP. I called it X. So measure of angle MNP P equals, oh, sorry, I almost wrote the wrong. I'm not used to being able to erase pen. There we go. 32 degrees. There we go. Okay, almost done. We have 2 more problems. Okay, number 13. It says the length of a trapezoid, the length of one base of a trapezoid is 19 inches. The length of the median is 15 inches. Find the other base. A lot of people have been struggling with this formula. So let me draw a trapezoid. Doesn't say it's isosceles trapezoid, so the legs aren't equal, but we do need to have the parallel bases. That's important. It talks about the median, and median in my video, I called it a mid-segment. I said it's called a mid-segment. It's also called a median. Different places call it different things, but those are the 2 words that it's called. That's a midpoint of each leg, and you join them. And it's parallel to the third side. Can't be a diagonal. A lot of people are saying that that median or the mid-segment is a diagonal, but if it was diagonal, it wouldn't be parallel to the bases. So you want to make sure that the mid-segments, it's drawn like that. They're parallel. So we have 3 parallel lines. It says the length of one base of a trapezoid is 19. And the length of the median or mid-segment is 15. I know this is 15. 19 is bigger, so I'm going to put 19 here. Okay? Because it's bigger. We need to find the other base. So we use our mid-segment formula. Okay? From my notes. This is trapezoid notes. Trapezoid video. From trapezoid video, we have the mid-segment or median is the line. Notice it's parallel to the bases. We have this formula. Mid-segment equals base plus base divided by 2. Okay, so mid-segment equals base plus base divided by 2. A lot of people have been struggling with this. Draw a picture. It helps. The mid-segment is the one in the middle. Mid, middle, mid, middle. So, in place of the mid-segment, my middle number goes. So, 15. Okay. There's an equal sign. It says base plus base. Well, one base is x plus the other base is 19 divided by 2. It's average. There are 2 bases, so you divide by 2. I don't like working with fractions. Since I don't like working with fractions, if I multiply by the denominator on both sides, that gets rid of my fraction. So I get 30 equals x plus 19. You get x alone. So I get x equals whatever 30 minus 19 is. So x equals 11. So that means the other base equals 11. There we go. Okay, now number 14. Okay, it says in a kite. You have to draw the figure. What are we going to draw? We're going to draw a kite. It says a kite. So we draw a kite. So remember, in a kite, consecutive sides are equal. But the other consecutive sides are not equal to the first consecutive sides. It's not a square. Okay. It says angle P. Oh, it's called kite PQRS. So let's do that. It does help to know how to label this particular one. Notice P and R, they're opposite angles because P, Q, R, they're separated by a letter. So they're opposites. and they're not equal. Okay? Since they're not equal, one of them is in between, is the angle that's in between the congruent sides. The other one is the other angle that's between the congruent sides. So that Q and S would be the two equal angles. So, get my kite notes out. Show you the kite notes from the kite video. Kite notes from the kite video. Okay. This angle is going to be different than this angle. These two angles are the same. Exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent, and those are the ones that are congruent. This whole thing and this whole thing are equal to each other. Although the pieces are not equal, this whole angle is equal to the whole angle there. So that means angle Q and angle S are equal. We need to find angle S. So that means angle Q, we're going to call it the same thing as angle S. Now this is 4 sides. And when we have 4 sides, that means the sum of interior angles is 360. It's like 2 triangles. Remember 2 triangles? 2 times 180 is 360. So I have x plus 88 plus x plus 38 equals 360. Combine like terms. 2x plus, I don't know what 88 plus 38 is off the top of my head. 126 equals 360. So solving. Okay, 360 minus 126. So I get 2x equals 234. Divided by 2. I'll just do the math. Okay, so x equals divided by 2, 117. Okay, so measure of angle S equals 117. Okay, that is the last problem in the review. The test is similar to the review, so my suggestion is to print out the review and solve them yourself. Test yourself. You print it out as many times as you want, well, as you have ink and paper for, or you can write it out. Test yourself. See how you do it. Check your answers. See if you got the same answers that I got on these videos. I showed you all the processes. Know how to do them before you take the test. Okay? And that is it for Chapter 8. We're going to go on to Chapter 10 next, just so you know. Bye.